What's going on, Freedom Fit family? It's Shad here with another video. As you watch the video, go ahead and like it and subscribe to the channel. And today we're going to dissect an interview by a gentleman named DEE-1. So DEE-1 is a man who believes in the biblical God and has experienced different things in the industry. Now, based on what he's going to say, we're going to go through what he shares, and we're going to just look at some biblical references for what he's talking about, as well as just be able to paint the picture of what's really going on in this world, in this industry. And with that being said, fair use allows individuals on YouTube to cover different topics for the sense of teaching and enlightenment. And that's what we're doing in this video. But without further ado, I'll play the first clip because we're going to go through a couple clips. And after I play this one, we'll talk about it.
Do you feel like it's gatekeepers in hip hop?
Gatekeepers in the music industry? Yeah, depending on what part of the industry you're trying to get access to, there's gatekeepers. So if you're trying to get signed to a major label, there's gatekeepers. If you're trying to get on certain media platforms to get interviewed, there's gatekeepers. If you're trying to get on the mainstream radio, you heard me, urban radio, there's gatekeepers. Yes. I will say one last thing about gatekeepers. The only true gatekeeper to what's meant for you in this world is God and your level of integrity. That's the only two gatekeepers, because what's meant for you and what you want, that's two different things. And a lot of times people end up wanting things that ain't of God. And now if you want something that ain't of God, you got to go through gatekeepers. So I'd rather go through God than go through gatekeepers any day. So all these people, all the times that I have encountered these gatekeepers in the industry and I'm knowing I'm overqualified for something, but I got somebody telling me I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough for this, or I'm not paying enough for that, I had to learn through maturity that that wasn't of God. You feel me? And that's what you got to check. Do you have godly ambition, or do you have selfish ambition? And in this world, it's very easy to have selfish ambition, and that'll take you on a pathway to where you're going through all these gatekeepers who really ain't nobody in the big scheme of things. On the totem pole of people with integrity and people with morals, values, and principles, these gatekeepers ain't nobody. But in this perverted, sick, twisted industry, these gatekeepers do hold access to certain levels.
So what he said is facts, and it's very imperative to grasp this, right? Because a lot of times when we see a celebrity, we see someone with a #1 hit, the first thing they're going to do is thank God. Now, I don't know what God they're thanking, because they're not thanking the biblical God based on what they talk about in their music. But on top of that, we automatically give them some form of status and attribute a high level of talent to what they do and who they are. But that's not always the case. It could be the fact that they were willing to do what other people weren't willing to do. Now, and DEE-1 is going to explain that a little further. But you got to ask yourself, why would there be gatekeepers to the mass media, to the outlets that are going to get to the majority of people? Well, it's because, as the Bible says, the whole world lies in wickedness, right? And even Christ says that if you were of the world, they would receive you. But since you're not of the world, they receive you not. So the gatekeepers are saying, if you're not going to be about what we talk about, if you're not going to do what we want you to do, then I can't give you that access, because all the quote unquote gatekeepers are wicked people. And as DEE-1 also said, the real gatekeeper is God. He's the one who has access to everything. But our flesh gets in the way, right? And it requires us to deny our flesh and be obedient to what he wants us to do. And then everything is like his hand is over it. It's like you got the cheat code to life. But the reason why also that there's gatekeepers is to keep the agenda going, right? Because you got to look at this. A lot of the big time rappers or singers or whoever you want to call it, right? Because we think sometimes because it's R&B, it's about love. No, what are they saying? A lot of times they're promoting breakups. They're promoting a lot of stuff that just isn't healthy. But regardless, okay, we need you to promote being a drug addict, gang banging, sexual immorality, right? We need you to promote all these things: violence, vanity, why you're better than this person. Promote the idea that getting the bag is the only important thing. If you're not doing that, then we don't want you in the mass media. Why? Because that would be illogical. You will be going against our agenda. You will be going against what we're trying to promote. Because the reason why you see a lot of these artists that are strung out on drugs and they're doing different things is because they have to live with themselves after that dotted line that they signed onto, right? They've signed on to, let's say, a 4-album record deal to tell you to go steal and kill, to tell you to devalue your body and disrespect yourself, right? To tell you to pop pills, to go to get drunk, to go to the club, right? To do things that are going to just leave you morally decrepit, right? It's going to leave you drained spiritually. But because you're so wrapped up in that life and those are your teachers and they're only telling you to do these things as solutions to your problems, you're going to be in the same hamster wheel, not knowing why you can't break through, not knowing why you can't overcome these things. And that's why I'll say this. Well, before I get into the next point, I want to add this. We have Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 35, which talks about the children of Israel passing through the fire unto Moloch, right? A lot of us, or a lot of people who read the Bible, think that that section means child sacrifice. And yes, child sacrifice was a thing in the Bible, which is why you have things that are popular today, which I know is going to be controversial, but pro-choice, right? That's essentially just murder. But we've used different terms to try to make it sound better. Now, why is it murder? Because even if, an embryo is 2 weeks old in your body, we've existed first in the spiritual realm, as I believe it's in Genesis chapter 1 or chapter 2. If you pay attention, God explains how he created man and woman, right? And then in the next chapter, which I believe is, I want to say chapter 1, he creates them in the spiritual realm. And then chapter 2, you see that Adam is formed out of the dust. But wait, I thought he was already made in chapter 1. That's because in chapter 1, he was made in the spiritual realm. Chapter 2, he now takes physical form, because scripture also says that none of us came here by the will of flesh and blood, but by God authorizing that. So yes, pro-choice is wrong. There is no choice when it comes to you being pregnant, right? And I'm not judging because I don't have the cleanest hands in my past of things I've done, right? But I'm just keeping it real. I'm not going to tell y'all a lukewarm message. Just because we're human and we're not perfect, we still need to know what the truth is. But regardless, we were made in the spiritual realm first. So it doesn't matter how young or old that baby or embryo is, it's still murder because they exist full on in the spiritual realm. But I digressed a little bit. The point was about Moloch, right? About people who pass through the fire unto Moloch. That was a ritual. So to get the things that are of your flesh and not of God, you have to abide by the enemy's rules. So now you have to do things just like the children of Israel used to pass through the fire. You have to do demonic things in order to get access to the mainstream. And you have to ask yourself, what is the opposite of walking through the fire? That would be going through the water, which is baptism, right? So you see how the enemy likes to pervert the things of God and do the opposite. So baptism allows you to die to your flesh, die to your old self, die to the self of you that was born in sin. That doesn't mean that you're putting off the flesh, because scripture says that baptism isn't putting off the flesh, but instead a good conscience towards God. So you're dying to your old self and being born again, right? You're dying with Christ and raising just like he rose, because now Christ could be in you to strengthen you to do the things that you couldn't do before. You get what I'm saying? But let's play the next clip and we'll discuss a little further.
Bro, I've had gatekeepers in the music industry who have literally tried to hold a record deal behind their back and let me know, like, look, if you're part of this homosexual act that I'm trying to take part in, you hear me? Yeah. Come on, this door open real quick for you. Like, I got a song where I've talked about that before called The Devil's Playground. Like, this is real, dog. And the only way that type of stuff can work on you is if you let them have all the leverage to where you want what's behind that gate that bad. So that's a real thing. You also got people who, this is a different type of gatekeeper. The gatekeepers who will say, hey, you making too much righteous noise right now. If you just tone that righteousness down a little bit, then we'll allow you into these doors. But you got to tone that down. You got to become a little more vanilla, you heard me? A little more lukewarm, a little more bland, and you'll fit in with us more. So that's the slick gatekeeping. It ain't telling you, it ain't telling you to all the way, bend over or open your mouth or something like that. It ain't that. But it's telling you, like, dim your light. And what ends up happening is you got so many people that's like, well, that's not that bad. They not asking me to do nothing super crazy. I just got to dim my light. That's the scariest kind right there. Because a lot of people will be like, wait, I just got to turn it from level 10 to level 5? Man, bet. I could do that, bro. I bet. Now I get accepted? Cool. Next thing you know, you got a whole industry, brother, that's lukewarm. Whole industry lukewarm. So then when somebody that's on fire come along, they looking at it like, whoa, you crazy. Hold on. You shining too bright. Hold on. Chill out, man. You doing the most. You messing up. Man, stop, man.
All right, so he said a lot of good stuff in that clip too. So the thing is that you got to ask, why would they want to do these homosexual acts? Now, of course, it's just because it's something that is of the enemy. But also when it comes to men in the industry, it's to control you, to dominate you, to emasculate you, right? Now, why do you think someone such as a Drake or a Little Uzi or a lot of people, honestly, I can't even name them all, are wearing fingernail polish now, right? Some of them are even wearing purses, right? And they're the ones who have the most access to the most people that are promoted by the largest outlets, right? Not for nothing, me growing up, I was a huge Lil Wayne fan. Why now in hindsight, when I look at it, why was he kissing Birdman like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot of stuff. Why are they all promoting homosexuality? And not for nothing, they're probably okay with doing it because of what they had to do to get there. So now I don't mind promoting this because I'm already down with that anyway. So I'm just going to leave the rest to hell, essentially. Because what does it say? The blind lead the blind, and they all fall into a ditch. Now, another thing that D1 talked about was compromising, right? Turning it down from level 10 to level 5. And that doesn't have to be as broad as the industry. That could happen in your personal life, right? How many of y'all got you know what I'm saying, when it was that time of the year a couple years ago, right? Oh, you might lose your job. So you're gonna have to turn down your beliefs and sell out to go ahead and have access to the things of the world still, right? It's just God will give you those tests, right? And your faith will be tested on a regular basis, even outside of what I just spoke about, which occurred in 2020, right? You're going to have regular occurring tests. Might be like, I'm talking about like big tests. That's like, dang, this is like really rattling my emotions. It could be once a month. It could be once every couple months. It could be several times in a month. But you're going to have often occurrences to see where your faith stands, even when things seem to be going good on the up and up. Now, boom, here's a challenge. Are you still the same as who you were, or are you switching? Right? Just like Abraham, he waited 100 years to get the child of the promise, Isaac, right? Because God made the promise to him at age 99. Then by 100, he had the kid. And then God told him shortly after, hey, I need you to sacrifice Isaac, just as a test to see where he was, right? God took everything from Job to see where his heart was. If I take all the stuff from you, all your animals, all your riches, your family, will you still love me, right? And Job's wife sold out. She told him to curse God and die. But God will give you those regular tests. But you could tone it down around family at times, around friends. Why is that? Because Christ says, he who confesses me in front of everyone, I will confess in front of my Father. Who denies me in front of everyone, I will deny them, right? So we got to keep those things in mind, to never compromise on the word of God, no matter what the circumstance is. But let's get into the last clip.
Crazy, man. So I want to backtrack, right? Because, I mean, yeah, we definitely got to backtrack, man. So you saying that somebody came up to you personally trying to get you involved into, some homosexual activity?
Me personally, I definitely dealt with that, brother. Like I said, I done rapped about it and everything. So I didn't want the deal that bad. You hear me?
So how did they react when you turned it down? Was they acting funny or?
Yeah. Well, you got that moment of truth. When you realize what's happening, you got that moment of truth where you're like, oh, shoot. Okay, what am I going to do? And that's not the first time in my life where I've had a moment of truth where I knew, like, my action right now can change the course of my entire life, you know. So I knew what time of day it was, and I wasn't getting down with it. So when I was like, nah, like I'm good, This was at a music video shoot. So when I was like, nah, I'm cool, for the rest of the day, it was like, oh, no more attention from this person. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, this person ain't really willing to meet with you or talk to you or even like further the idea of talking about working with you. So once you see that you're getting that cold shoulder, or once I seen that I was getting that cold shoulder, I was like, well, I won't be getting signed today. You hear me? And you got to keep it moving. But man, it feel good, man. It feel good to be able to speak about that and be able to speak like to say like, oh, I preserved my manhood. Like it feel good. It feel real good. Like that's what you call a life defining moment.
Yeah, that's wild, man. So when you turned them down, was they in their feelings? Like, was they trying to block you from doing stuff? Like, yo, we're not gonna allow him to do this, or we're not gonna put him on this platform. He's not gonna host this. Like, what happened, yo?
I got you. You're asking me, is blackballing a real thing?
Yeah.
Yes, blackballing is a real thing. Some people in this industry definitely get mad enough at you if you have bruised their ego, or if you have shown them that you don't need their approval to be successful, then they will definitely do what they can to try to blackball you. Yes, I don't doubt that people have attempted to blackball me, absolutely. But if you don't feed me, if you don't provide my blessings to me, then you can't starve me. You can't deny my blessings to me. And once I truly doubled down on knowing that like God holds all the keys to whatever's meant for D1, that's when I really started just moving with a level of boldness that's like, yeah, I'm standing on this, you heard me? And you might try to have a vendetta against me or whatever, but I guarantee I'm gonna exceed anything that you could have did for me. And then I'm gonna look down at you. And you're gonna be like, oh, shoot, how you got up there? Because that's the only one I submit to is up there. You heard me?
Man, what he said was pivotal. Those are facts. If God is the one who feeds you, then he's the one who could take it away, right? And that's the only one that we should be submitting to. See what these different people in the industry, and I'm not just saying music, goes for acting, anything that is promoted by mass media, any industry, right? If that's who you submit to, then that's who can take it away. Like, you got to even look at the recent situation with Diddy. Everyone was idolizing him. Oh, he's a legend. He's a mogul. He's all these things. And he was doing this for years behind closed doors. Meanwhile, everyone's getting him richer. Why? Because he's promoted everywhere, buying his Ciroc, doing this, doing that. Who knows what spirits was in that Ciroc? Who knows, right? But when the industry is done with him, or whatever was going on behind the scenes, and they want to put a scandal out, they will. Because that hotel had those videos for a long time. Now all of a sudden it got out right when he was having all these other scandals of alleged things that I won't talk about. Oh, and by the way, if y'all still watching, hit the like button, show some support for the channel. But yeah, like we got to consider that. But that's pivotal. When you completely deny yourself and submit to God, God is going to show you his presence, and he will bless you in the things that you're doing. He'll bless the work of your hands as long as you're laboring for him. And now once you know he's with you, you know that only he can close doors. And whatever door he opens, no one can close. So you do what? You walk with that level of boldness like D1 was saying. Same thing with me and my company. Once I was walking with God and I knew what time it was, I'm doing everything for him. I'm starting to I revamped the whole company inside out. There's a lot of good things I kept, but there's a lot of stuff of God that I added to it. And I know that he controls everything in my life. But he said that he was at a music video when this happened too, right? And now once he didn't want to do certain things, they started to shun him and exclude him, right? So we got to ask, whose music video were you at? Because D1 is just choosing to speak about this. But that person at the music video, whoever's video was getting shot, I'm sure he got down as well in his past, if not right before that video. But he's not going to tell you about that because he's not going to embarrass himself even further, right? But since D1 said no, as he said that was a life-changing moment or a life-defining moment, he is going to speak about it because he didn't get down with them, so they can't stop his quote unquote blessings, right? And I say quote unquote because what those people get in the industry is not a blessing. But he said it feels good to uphold your integrity, uphold your manhood, right? It could be a business contract that you're signing, whatever the case may be. You got to make sure that you uphold your integrity, because whatever looks good in the forefront, right, you're going to be mad about that 5 months from now. It might come back to bite you a year from now. And you just know deep down that you're willing to compromise. So, I hope this video was edifying. I hope we cover some points that open your eyes as far as the industry is concerned, but most importantly, for your own individual walk. So if you like this video, go ahead and like it. Comment below any of your thoughts on the content we covered. Share this video with someone else. Subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to y'all next time. Freedom and truth.